Assalamualaikum guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Jangan lupa di subscribe.
Three, two, one, zero.
Genetic inheritance. Genetic inheritance is a basic principle of genetics and explains how characteristics are passed from one generation to the next when organisms reproduce. All the information for growth, survival, and reproduction for the next generation is found in the DNA passed down from the parent generation, provide the foundation for modern genetics. In sexual reproduction, the genetic material of the parents is compact and passed on to one individual. Gregor Mendel is accredited as the first person to correctly understand the process of how characteristics are inherited by offspring from parents. Before Mendel, many other incorrect hypotheses attempted to explain how characteristics and traits were passed from generation to generation.
Mendel's law of inheritance, law of segregation, the alleles for each character segregate during gamete production, so that each gamete will only have one of the two alleles for each genes. Law of independent assortment falls of alleles for each characteristic gene segregate independently of each other. Mendel's work has been heavily built on over the past 150 years, and notion of genetics has come a long way since his experiment. His work set the foundation for our understanding of genetic inheritance in animals, plants, and other complex organisms. The process of inheritance is hugely important for understanding the complexity. Life in honor in particular, fast role, sexual reproduction, and evolution for this Mendel's contribution to science, biology, and genetics are still widely recognized and applauded within the scientific community. Alleles, genotype, and phenotype. Alleles and genotypes are important foundation of genetics. An allele is particular from of a gene, and they are passed from parent to their offspring. A genotype is the combination of two alleles, one received from each parent, called the phenotype, the specific combination of the two alleles. The genotype influences the particle present the phenotype of the physical trait. The alleles carry information for the phenotype can also be influenced by the environment.
Experiment. Mendel performed a series of rigorous experiments looking at 7 different characteristics: age, flower, color, set color, and seed shape, each with two different stripes, e.g., purple flower and white flowers. He established true breeding lineage for each characteristic. For example, one line of plants will produce only purple flower, and another only white. He then crossed individuals with two different stripes to see the resulting trait of the offspring over the generation. In his observation, Mendel found that in the first generation of offspring, only one of the traits was ever expressed, e.g. purple flowers. After crossing the first generation of offspring white egg otter. Mendel found that approximately 75% of the second generation inherited the same trait as their present, i.e. the purple flowers of the first generation of offspring. The remaining 25% expressed the second trait of the original present, i.e. with flowers, the trait that appeared to be lost in the first generation of offspring. The conclusion: following 3 generations of crossing breeding, Mendel produced 3 significant conclusions regarding genetic inheritance. His first conclusion was that each trait is passed on unchecked to offspring via units of inheritance. These units are now known as alleles. Mendel's second conclusion: offspring inherit one allele from each parent for each characteristic. His third and final conclusion was that some alleles might not be expressed in an individual, but can still be passed on to the next generation.
Similarly, here with guitar, tal, and one dropline. Now that we have had a good idea about crossing, let me introduce 2 new terms to you. Trust me, they are very simple to understand. The 2 terms are phenotype and ratio and genotype ratio. In this case, the phenotype ratio is there to 1. It is there tall plants and 1 dwarf plant. And the genotype ratio is 1 to 2 to 1. As we can see, one plant is homozygous for tall trait, these 2 are heterozygous, and this one is homozygous for the recessive trait dwarf. What about the genotype ratio? Let's take an example here. If we look at this tall guy, what can we say about his genes? This tall guy can have the genes TT both in uppercase or TT in upper ND or in lowercase. We can really predicate it. So just by having a glance, we can really guess if the individual is homozygous or heterozygous for Haig as the character. So the feature at the genetic leaf, which cannot be observed, are called genotypes. In simple words, the physical expression for the genes, giving rise to the particular observable traits, can be termed as phenotypes. On the other hand, genotype can be defined as the set of genes they give rise to a particular trait that it's the genetic makeup of an organism. So the trait that's visible to us is the phenotype, and what genes the organism has for that is the genotype. For example, if this boy has black eyes, then so the genotype ratio is 1 to 2:1:2. Now we are well versed with the crusade and also a few important terms in genetics. Take a moment to go through these important terms once. Let no move read and understand Gregor Mendel's experiment further. So far we have seen how Mendel crossed plants and studied ants character at a time view. After he completed crossing on the character, individually he crossed 2 characters at a time, followed by dir and so on. The cross involving one character at a time. Skeleton, monohybrid, cross, so whatever. We have learned so far was a monohybrid cross, and the ratio obtained after the cross is nothing but a monohybrid ratio.